I am walking down this corridor with several beings and different shapes and sizes and all that. And we're heading to what I now know is a meeting. And we're heading to this big meeting area. And we're walking down, and I'm so happy for myself. Like, I am at two different places at one time. So I have a consciousness like a fly on the wall looking down at me walking. And then I'm also in the person who's walking next to the ETs.
Okay, yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone's ever said that before, but
So possibly you're having an out of body experience. Your body is actually there, but you're also having an out of body experience as well. Hey everyone, welcome back to Codex of Curiosities. Tonight I am joined by Sarah, or otherwise known as UFO Girly. Now, Sarah has had some major experiences with contact with alien races, UFOs, and abductions as well. Now, we go into this conversation. I go into it a little bit open-minded because I have other preconceived ideas about abductions and possibly UFO interactions, which is fine. That's my own perspective. Now, Sarah has her own, and on the show, I give everyone a platform to speak their minds, and I do challenge her on some of the things, and she gives her answers to it, which is perfectly okay. Now, if you had any experiences, hit me up. Maybe we could have you on the show, or just a discussion. You could say, I don't really think that UFOs or aliens are evil. I don't think they're good. Whatever you feel. I'm in kind of both camps. I feel that if they're evil, that means there has to always be a balance. There has to always be good as well. So which one is which? I think the ones that abduct you without your consent, personally, my own opinion, those are the evil ones. If we have interactions with ones where it's a friendly, loving environment kind of thing, and they're not being abducted, I think that perhaps those are the good ones. But I'll let you guys decide. Let's get to that interview. All right, Sarah, welcome to Codex of Curiosities. I am very happy to have you here. You reached out to me on Instagram, and I am really excited to have this conversation. So for my viewers and my listeners who don't know you, I know you go by the moniker UFO Girly. Why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself and where they can find you? Because I know you said you started a new show, and I'd love for them to hear about that.
Yes. So I'm Sarah, UFO Girly. I just started a live show. Go live with UFO, it's actually called, on Instagram. So that's every Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Central. Please join us, or join me, join the guest as well. It's very interesting stuff like you do, Rye. So it's very awesome.
Okay, and what kind of topics? Fair enough. Yes, I know. I think the stuff I do is very awesome too. So of course. So what kind of topics do you hit on in your show?
Yes. So anything spiritual, but I focus mainly on the UFO phenomenon, ETs, extraterrestrial, and of course, some people may call them demons or angels, fallen angels, or anything like that. I do focus mainly on that subject, but I also would love to do anything paranormal, Bigfoot, even just all around spirituality. Spiritual awakenings, things of that nature.
Yeah, I really believe that, we are physical beings, and there is a spiritual world that we are living in parallel, in unison with. A lot of people don't see that, and it is there with us. It's, we only see like a fraction of a percentage of the actual visible light spectrum. So that means we're only seeing a little bit. There's so much more out there. It doesn't. And some people might call it spiritual. It might be called something else. Maybe it's another quantum realm or something along that line. But I think it's one and the same. And, I think we're living, quite in unison or quite parallel with possibly other entities, other things as well at the same time. We just don't see it. Maybe those things that go bump in the night are really just Fred and Sylvia from the other dimension, having a little fun that night or something like that. So
Absolutely.
could be anything like that. Now, okay, you're kind of starting with the UFO phenomena, and then you said you want to branch out. Of course, I do agree with you. Like, I think the Bigfoot phenomena. I'll just talk about the Bigfoot itself. Is there's people who are like, oh, it's just a physical being. It's this giant ape we haven't really discovered, and then it's kind of like, well, why haven't we actually discovered this giant ape? There's more and more technology that we have now these days, and we just don't really seem to be getting ahead of it all. Yeah, we see footprints. Yeah, we kind of, some people catch things like through their eyes, but we don't have any more evidence than you think we would, considering how much, we walk around with one of the best recording devices in our hands, and we don't really have anything.
Well, that's because they can go in and out of the dimension, to their own dimension. And, they don't necessarily live here on the planet. They come here because we have an abundance of food, and they're spiritual beings. Some may think that they are also extraterrestrial, which I am in that boat right there. That they have their own planet somewhere. That may sound so weird. It sounds weird coming out of my mouth, but they have their own planet somewhere, and they are able to go to a different dimension when they don't want to be seen. And the only reason we are seeing these things, not the little, the big footprints, the things that they left behind, that's for a purpose. They're allowing us to see that information.
Yeah, and I agree with you that there could be a connection with, at least with the UFOs, because there is a lot of UFO sightings, orb sightings, and Bigfoot. It's not, you can see an orb, and you might not see UFOs, and you might not see Bigfoot. But and it goes the same with Bigfoot. It goes the same with UFOs. But when you start, there is these groupings that you do see them. I interviewed someone, one of my first episodes, where he saw all three, and it's very strange. And it's, there's a tie, and there's a little bit of a connection as to why or how these things are coming. Possibly, that is some sort of transport, some sort of vehicle. The orb itself, I just interviewed Nathaniel Gillis. I just released that episode today. He talks that maybe, and this is something else, is maybe that we're actually not seeing Bigfoot. We're seeing a projection of the orb. The orb is allowing us to see something, and we're actually seeing a Bigfoot, or we're seeing a ghost. Because many times when people take pictures, perhaps we'll say of a ghost, all they capture is an orb, and so the orb is projecting into our mind what it wants us to see. So it's not necessarily what's there. Yeah. So it could be one and the same, but there is a phenomena happening. That's
There
true.
absolutely is. And I would love to have a guest on, like you have, guests like you have.
Yes.
And of
Thank
course,
you. I
it just
appreciate it.
started, so I'll get there.
Oh,
But
it'll
um,
come. It will come. So,
it
well,
will.
Sarah, what about yourself? So, what type of experiences have you had? Because I'm going to guess that you've had your fair share.
I sure have. So I have to start all the way at the beginning. My very first experience when I was a child. So I'm just going to start with, I was born and raised most of my childhood in Santa Rosa, California. I always felt different as a child, like an outsider in my own family. I was very sensitive as a child. I knew things about people prior to even asking or anything. I knew whether they were sad, mad, bad, putting on a smile, and they were hurting on the inside. I knew all of that, but I just thought it was normal. I just thought these feelings, these emotions I was feeling off others were just normal. So I just went on about my life. And at a young age, I was very fascinated with the stars and the planets and universe. But my main constellation was that I loved was the Pleiades. I was just very drawn to it. And I would call it the Seven Sisters, and I would say that. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know the Pleiades at the time. And so I really just grew up in a household where talk of the paranormal, extraterrestrials, Bigfoot was talked about on a daily basis because my dad has had experiences and he also loves this topic. So I just grew up knowing these things, being very interested in these things, but I also grew up terrified um, because I was very scared that they were coming to get me, the Greys in particular. So I would be so terrified at night that I wouldn't sleep alone. I would always sleep, with my parents or one of my siblings.
Now, just sorry.
That's how terrified.
Okay, so with that fear, how did that fear start? Do you know how that started? Was it like you had discussions with the gray? I mean, sorry, discussions with your father or with someone else about the grays, or was it just kind of, I don't want to say unfounded, but just you just
Mhm,
had this
mhm.
fear?
So I think it was both unfounded because when I started I believe it was there prior to watching the shows. And then watching the shows and intensified the fear of being taken by these grays. And all I knew what were the grays at the time. That's all I knew. And I was terrified. And there was also paranormal activity in my home. I was picking up on an old man that would walk the halls, and I was just so scared as a child. Um, but yeah, I was unsure if this was taking place, the abduction or anything was taking place, or if it was just the shows I was watching or anything like that. But anyway, um, so one night I'm going to my room. My sister and I, we shared a uh, bedroom together, and we had this big room with a big window facing the street and the neighbors' houses and all that. And he was not there. She was over at a friend's house staying the night. She's about 3 years older than I am, so she was gone on a sleepover. I'm about 9 or 10 years old. So I'm upset. I have to sleep on my own. I start off there, but then I branch out to, a sibling's bed or something, or my parents. As I'm walking into my bedroom, there's that window to my left, and out the window, there is a big metallic craft, and it's hovering and gliding over my across the street neighbor's house. And in my head, I'm trying to rationalize this, but I knew right away what it was. I knew right away. It was metallic. It had green, yellow, orange. Like, oh, I would describe it as the old bulbs from Christmas or something, like the old Christmas bulbs. And they were all around the sides of it. And this thing is just rotating like this. And as it's rotating, I'm really thinking many, many things. And my 9-year-old, 10-year-old self is like, okay, this is not a helicopter. This is not a plane. It doesn't have wings. It does not have a tail, and now I'm from where I was, we had a lot of police helicopters in California. So I knew what the difference was. So this thing is slowly gliding, it's rotating slowly, and I'm just staring at it in wonderment. And all of a sudden I get this feeling come over my body. What I know now is telepathy, through thought and feeling, that said, everything's okay. We're just checking on you. Basically, you're okay. We're not here to harm you. Things like that. That's what they were telling me through through feeling and thought. And I was like, okay. After that, my fear turned into fascination.
Okay.
So it really got rid of that fear of being abducted and being scared of that. Um, but uh, I ran down. I told my parents, hey, in the morning, I said, I saw a UFO and I was so excited. And they're like, okay, yeah, she's watching way too many shows.
Yes.
And
That's the way it usually goes. The parents,
it does.
maybe they're into it, but they just don't believe then that, like, no, that couldn't happen then.
Definitely, definitely not. So I just kind of buried that. I buried that in the back of my mind. I just kept it there, and I would tell people about it every once in a while when the topic came up, later years in life. Um, were you going to say something?
No, no, no. That
Oh,
I
okay.
agree. I'm just thinking
Yeah,
I'm relating to the same thing because I've had those types of experiences where I've experienced something and you just bury it because some people are some people just don't want to hear it. They're not ready to, or they'll call you become the weird person, you become the weird kid, and so you just kind of hold back and you're like a gatekeeper then, in essence. It's like, okay, I have to see who you are. Okay, maybe I'll let you into this circle, not the inner circle, but I'll let you in a little bit, and then we'll see how much further I can go and divulge these experiences to you.
yeah, and it wasn't a lot.
Yeah,
It wasn't
right.
a lot. I had to move on because I knew it wasn't being, relayed very properly. So I was just like, oh well, moving on. Life happens. So anyway, life goes on, and I get older, and I get into a lot of drugs and alcohol and other things, toxic relationships, things of that nature. And I'm really struggling. I mean, I'm an adult now in my 30s, and I'm still addicted to alcohol, drugs, toxic and traumatic relationships, those kinds of things. So, fast forward to 2014. At the end of 2014, I had I had a spiritual awakening brought on by a traumatic event after someone physically hit me right in the forehead in my third eye. So it broke my nose, but he had butted me right in the third eye,
Okay,
which was the best thing that ever happened to me.
which is strange. That you don't hear that often. Yes.
Yes, I think I don't talk to him, but I thank him a lot for that. But anyway, I had my spiritual awakening, and oh my gosh, that is a whole nother story of all of that. Anyway, I started communicating with my angels and guides. They were teaching me how to communicate with them, and I was doing readings. Um, and all of that. So I became this psychic empath, intuitive empath. Now people call it. My main abilities are clairsentience and claircognizance. So a clear feeling and a clear knowing. I have all of them though, all of the clairs. But um, so in 2020, we're going to just fast forward to
Mhm.
2020.
Sorry, before
Um,
you jump too far. So
yeah.
after that incident, did that was it kind of at that point that your lifestyle completely changed? Like we're talking like the drugs and alcohol were kind of like it's almost like a door completely closed.
Well, it took me a few years because I resisted. Went out kicking and screaming. I really did. I thought nothing was wrong with my life. That's how that's how crazy I was. Like just not even thinking that this was the way to be, not the way to be as a human, you know? And yeah, they got rid of that. It took a while though. It took me I would say a good um, four, 4.5 years to get sober after my awakening. And I'll tell you, I had a lot of psychic attacks because I would not quit drinking and I was drinking because all this stuff was happening to me. Like it was almost like I was forcing myself to drink, even though spirit was saying, don't stop, you need to stop. And I was just like, I can't handle it all, all these emotions. It was like going outside and I could see three domes around the earth. Like it was a lot for me to handle. But anyway, um, so I finally got sober. Things are starting to get so much better. I'm really caring for myself, not as much as I should at this point, but I'm still trying to care for myself. I was doing readings and I'm doing this and that. Um, so at this time, I'm becoming just way more obsessed in 2020, this isolation. I was becoming way more obsessed with any kind of extraterrestrial story I can get, any kind of abductee story I can get, learning about the different races. Because at the time, I still didn't know that there was humanoid extraterrestrials. I had no idea. Still in 2020. No
Yeah.
idea. I just thought it was the Greys, So I'm learning and I'm fascinated with all this information. What I know now is they were actually giving me this feeling, to look this information up, to get me prepared for what I was going to be seeing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
And so one day, I'm researching and anything I watch is spiritual. Like I can't just watch news or anything like that. I can't do that. And I can't just watch a podcast about something. It has to be spiritual. That's just how I am after my awakening. Anything else is mindless to me. um, but anyway, I'm watching this show and I hear a message and it says, keep your eyes on the sky. And I was like, okay, I, I'll I'll do that. I'll do that. So I just forget about it, and a few nights later, maybe a week went by and I take my dog out and we live in an apartment complex at the time. And I take my dog out and my daughter is with me, my youngest daughter. And we go up on this hill in the back of the apartment complex. And all of a sudden I see movement out of my right eye. And I look up and there is this gigantic galactic, all I can say is a galactic federation ship. It is not the oval. It's a humongous ship. It's not shaped like the oval. It is gigantic.
Okay. So
So it's
as in the
mhm.
look, how would you describe the look? Is it like a cityscape floating in the sky, or?
Yes, yes, yes. That is so good. That's exactly without the antenna, of
Okay. Yeah.
course. But that's exactly what it is. Yes. So it is cloaked in the middle though. So I can only see like an outline of this massive ship that's gliding in the sky. And I said, Caitlin, oh my God, do you see that? And she's looking at it. She's like, yes, I see it. What is that? And I'm like, I I don't know. And as soon as we saw it, it started to fade. It started to fade out.
So fade
So
even
I'm
more.
like,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So I'm like, okay, something's going on here. Something's going on. They're having me read all about this stuff, having me um, look up the species and the races, and now I'm seeing this. So I continue on. I don't tell anybody about that experience because they already probably think I'm crazy enough, and
Yep. Fair enough. Fair enough. You just keep that quiet. Keep that to
I
myself.
just
Yeah.
keep going. Yep. hmm So, I think about 2 to 3 weeks later, um, it was about 2 to 3 weeks later. And this one plays a significant part in my journey and story. Um, so I was taking my dog out again. It's about 10:30 at night. I leave the door cracked a little bit because my daughter's in the living room. And I don't go out. I don't have my phone, with my phone. I don't go out with my phone. And I go down the stairs and I have my dog. And then all of a sudden I see movement from my left eye this time. And I look up and over and I see 5 ships gliding all together. These are the saucer ones now.
Okay.
And they are all in perfect, like spaced out, perfectly spaced out. And these are big too.
Wow. If you had to guess the size, what would you say?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm not good at footage or
Okay.
anything
No
like
problem.
that.
No problem. Just
But
big.
um,
Like if you were saying like a size of a car
yes,
or
yes, yes.
bigger than that.
But yeah, yeah. And then the distance, so it makes it kind of hard. But I would say yes, the size of a car, maybe, but it was a little distant
Yeah, so
over
it
the
was about the
apartment
size of a car, but it was
complex.
distant, so which means it would probably be much, much bigger. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Oh, they were. I'm sure. I'm sure. And they were like wispy, like they were cloaked. So the shape of it was there, but it was like a shadowy type. But they didn't want to show the whole physical craft, I'm guessing. Um, so I yelled up to my daughter and I said, "Oh my God, come down here!" And she's looking up. She comes down and she has her phone. She's trying to fumble, with her phone, and she hits record and it won't let her record. So it let her take a picture. They let her take a picture, and what we saw on the picture was this bright glowing orb. And these things didn't have any
Which
lights
is kind of
at
funny,
all.
we were talking about that earlier about, Nathaniel Gillis saying it's orbs and they're giving you a projection. So you might actually see something else, or when you take the picture, you see the orb and it's okay. But sorry to interrupt. Keep going,
No,
Sarah.
oh my gosh, you're fine. So yeah, we're looking at these things, and then they slowly start to fade out, and I was just like, oh my God, what is happening here? What is happening? Something crazy is happening. And okay, so I go to sleep. My daughter, she just tries to ignore all of it. Both of my daughters want nothing to do with it. It scares them,
Fair enough.
rightfully
Fair
so,
enough.
And so anyway, I go to bed that night. I have, at the time, I'm working at a shop. Um, also, so my full time job, working 4 nights a week, third shift, and then doing readings. And on top of that, I'm having a lot of people coming to my house for energy healings or whatever. But so I wake up the next day and I automatically knew I had received information or downloads. Um, I was a complete wreck. They had told me through telepathic communication, through thought and feeling, that I was their family. And it was so incredible to me. I've never heard of that. So I was so confused. And I was also grieving at the same time because it was like, when you always, oh my God, I'm going to start crying.
That's all right. That's all right.
When you always have like, some people have holes in their hearts,
Okay.
and
Hmm.
don't know why. And don't know why. And you're missing a place that you have no idea
Yes.
why you're missing
Yes.
somewhere.
You feel like you belong in a different place than you do at
Yes.
this place.
Yeah.
Yes.
I never fit in here. But when I saw them, it all made sense. I mean, when they told me that I was their family and they gave me so much love, um, it all made sense to me. Even though I was confused because I was like, how could this be? How could I be their family? I'm a human. It just didn't make sense. But it was, and then I told you, like, I was grieving at the same time because it was like, finally, my true family, the ones I fit in with, finally come into my life, and then they're gone. And then they're gone and they left me again. I was like, they left me here again. I know it sounds crazy, but I was just so distraught about it.
It's
Um,
like, don't leave me is kind of what you're grieving about, kind
oh
of, in a
yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Oh yes. It was like having a long lost family member come into your life and then be ripped away. Like that's how it felt. So it it was like I was holding my stomach. I was sick about it. Like it it was it was a very, very emotional time period for me for a few weeks. Very distraught about that because of how it made me feel, and what they had told me. At this point, they didn't tell me where I was from yet. That would be later. Um, so now the experiences are really starting to happen. I get that experience, and then now I'm waking up and I am hearing. Now, this is I'm waking up, but I'm still hearing. Um, uh, First, it was a female um, extraterrestrial who is actually. This is gonna. I usually do not say this part of it because people will get scared or whatever, but it was a reptilian. It was a female reptilian speaking to me. And then the next time I woke up, it was a male. And this time with the male, I can see myself in this room and it's like a Q&A. Like we're going back and forth. I'm asking them all, and it was both the male and female in this room. And I'm asking them all types of questions and they're giving me the answers, but they didn't allow me to remember anything. And I remember consciously thinking, remember, remember this information. You have to remember this. Like I kept digging it into my head. And I know the experience happened, but are not letting me recall any of that information. And when I tap into it now, later I did, and they just said it's stored there until the time is right. And I believe the time is coming, where the information will be released, which is a good thing. So, other than that, I started having these very vivid dreams, dreams of being on the craft, on an actual craft. My very first dream, I always like to bring
And
up.
sorry, and do you believe these dreams are like suppressed reality that really did happen? You're kind of accessing it
Yes,
subconsciously. Okay.
yep, 100%. I never had a dream like this before. Um, and it was so real. It was so real. And if people want to think that that's just a dream and whatever,
Oh,
that's
we
fine.
we talk about dreams quite well. I talk about dreams quite often on my show. I believe there's so much more to them. I actually just interviewed a gentleman um who fell asleep, and in his dream he lived 15 years in an alternate reality. He woke up
Oh,
himself,
wow.
but he lived the 15 years, and he's like, you're expecting like this amazing, like, but he's like, no, it was just mundane stuff. Like I was on Zoom calls, he ended up getting married, having a
Oh my
child and
gosh.
everything. And he's like, I never wanted a child, but now I do. Um, and then he says, like,
Oh,
the last thing he
wow.
remembers is bringing his groceries into his house. And then he woke up, and like the pain, like you're talking about pain being ripped away from your family, it's
Yes.
it's the exact same thing. I was like, holy cow, like that's, you lived with this family for 15 years, your husband and your child, and now they're lost. Like it's,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, that gives me the chills. That gives me the chills because that's what makes it real is the emotion connected.
that's
And
exactly
yes,
what I said, maybe you as an outsider might deny that the physical experience actually happened, but we cannot deny the emotional experience. The emotional experience that he is conveying, the emotion experience happened 100%. It's not like you can deny the physical. Like as an outsider, that is your right to. but you can see that the
Absolutely.
emotional experience happened 100%. There's no denying that.
Yes. And it's hard for people to understand if they haven't had this type of experience before. So I like to look at all perspectives, and I know it to be true. You don't have to, other people, if you don't think it's true, that's absolutely up to you. That's fine. But when you have an experience, come back here,
Yeah, you come back with a different perspective,
because many people are going to start having experiences. They already are, you know. But anyway, um, so yes, the first dream I had was I can laugh about it now, but I was on this craft, and all I see, I know, I physically know, my consciousness knows I am on this craft. It's not there in writing saying, "Hey, you're on a craft" or whatever, but I know that I'm on a craft. I'm in this room, and all I see is light. It looks like, like a a light you would use, what I'm using right now. One of those circle
the ring
ring
lights.
lights.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, but of course it's not. There's no light source, so I'm just standing there, and I'm freaking out. My body knows, like my consciousness knows, I'm on this craft. I don't know what to do. There's nobody around, and I'm freaking out. And then all of a sudden, I see a human come out of the hallway, because there was a hallway or a doorway in front of me. She comes through the doorway, and I immediately recognize her from someone here on Earth, who is actually, I haven't name dropped her name yet because I would like to talk to her eventually. I still haven't, but because it's weird, hey, I met you on a craft, you kind of saved me, but she is actually in the hybridization program, and I know it sounds very strange, but she came over to me and she's hugging me and she's telling me, "Remember, you have been here before. You're safe here. Remember, you're safe here." And I was like, um, just still crying and very upset that I was on this craft. I didn't like it. I was scared, and then it was over. I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I was just on a craft. But anyway, those dreams got better. So each dream that I had after that was like, okay, my body's adjusting. Or it's not my actual body, it's my consciousness. So my consciousness is adjusting to these beings. So the last dream I've ever had with them and being on the craft, I am walking down this corridor with several beings and different shapes and sizes and all that. And we're heading to what I now know is a meeting. Um, and we're heading to this big meeting area. And we're walking down, and I'm so happy for myself. Like I am at two different places at one time. So I have a consciousness like a fly on the wall looking down at me walking. And then I'm also in the person who's walking next to um the ETs,
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone's ever said that before, but
So so
um
so possibly you're having an out of body experience. Your body is actually there, but you're also having an out of body experience as well.
I think my consciousness was in both different two different places at the same time, which can happen, and I was so proud of myself for not freaking out. Like I was just like, do, this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm all good, and that's just, yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
I'm curious about this meeting, that this large meeting gathering. I want to hear what you want to say about that, because I've talked to someone else who's had an experience like this before. So
Well, um, I here's the thing, they never showed me it.
Oh, you never actually
I
got,
don't get,
or you never got to
no,
remember it.
yep, I never get to remember the meetings ever, ever. And that's what's hard for me to understand, like you would tell me these things and I don't get to be, I mean, I'm there, but but I can't recall it. Why, you know? There's a reason for it, I'm sure. But
Now, of course,
mhm.
I have to bring this up because we got to ask, do you feel that's a negative thing that they're not allowing you to remember? Do you think that maybe you should be allowed to remember that?
Well, I want to, but I know they know best. Mhm.
It's kind of a bit of a manipulation of your memories, which might not be the best thing. And I know you think this is for the highest, and I understand that, but I want to bring that side to it that, if they're manipulating your memories, that might not be the best.
Um, I don't see it as manipulation. I see as they are holding that information until I'm ready for that information or humanity is ready for that information, and not as a manipulation. Because they've helped me in so many different ways. It's hard for me to look at them as anything but loving and peaceful beings that are sitting here, taking care of me and kept me out of some dangerous situations in my life. So I'm very happy about that. So they're very
Fair enough. Fair
protective.
enough. Yeah.
Yeah. But people may think that way. I can see how that would be. So in 2021 is when I had my first physical encounter with a being in my room. I was very, very tired. And so I'm having a dreams. I'm waking up. These ETs are talking to me, and all of this. And now I'm starting to have personal encounters. So I only had three. I've only had three personal encounters, but with an actual ET. The very first one was in 2021. I felt really, really tired. Um, this tiredness came over me, and I told my daughter, I said, "Can you watch the dog?" Because she was a hellion when she was a puppy. She still kind of is,
Okay. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
she was, so hyper and everything else,
It
and she
sounds
would
like
get
my
into
dog too.
everything. So,
Yeah.
hmm so I said, "Caitlin, can you watch her while I take just a little nap?" And she said, "Yes, of course." And as soon as my head hit the pillow, I am paralyzed. And my consciousness is staring at this 3.5, 4 foot ET being. He was a gray and he felt male to me. Um, he was just staring at me, and it was almost like a hologram. He was solid from his head down to his torso. Like I could see his arms, but I can't really see his legs for some reason.
Okay.
But they're
Now,
there.
would you assume, would this be some sort of like, because if you were paralyzed, would it be some sort of like sleep paralysis kind of along that line as well?
Yes, and I've had it before. I've had it before. So this is the third time. Um, when I told you about those attacks when I was drinking after my awakening, I was being attacked by negative spirits. So and they would paralyze me as well. But um, so this was the third time I was paralyzed. And I was seeing this gray, and he was just blankly staring at me. And I kept thinking to myself, oh my God, these are real. These are 100% real. The eyes, everything, except for my ET's eyes were very pointy at the tips. Um, that's one thing I do recall. And there was static behind him. And I knew I was still in my bedroom because I could see my bathroom.
Okay.
Now, my
I
consciousness
do have
is
a
up.
question about that specifically.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that has been stated in sleep paralysis is there's like a screen that looks identical to where you are, but one thing might be off. Did you notice was there any one thing that you're like, maybe a painting might have been upside down or anything like that? Okay.
No, but I can just see the bathroom behind him, and there was static, like the old TV static. You would go on a station, and it
Okay.
wouldn't work,
Yeah.
and it'd just be staticky like that. That's what was like surrounding him. And I'm,
So he wasn't, sorry. So he wasn't like in tune with this frequency that we're in. It's kind of,
I think he was a hologram
oh,
of
okay.
some
Okay.
sort. Um, just because he wasn't fully there. Like I said, he was physical, head, arms, torso, and faded out when it got to his legs and stuff. But he's just staring at me. My consciousness, here's the weird thing too, is my consciousness is facing him. I can see my body and feel my body freaking out on the bed. Like it's flopping like a fish because I'm trying to kick my way out of this paralyzed state. Because your body reacts that way when you're paralyzed. It just happens. It happens to me all the time. I mean, not now, but um every time I was paralyzed, I would try to kick and fight my way out of the paralyzed state. And anyway, I'm staring at him. My body's over there flailing like a fish, and I all I could think about is like trying to tell my body to stop. I was like, "Stop, please! This is awesome." You I'm like, I need to know more information. And I'm just trying to, and I'm clairsentient. So I was trying to really figure out what he was there for or his emotions. There was absolutely no emotion coming off of him whatsoever. So, no, like it was like a brick wall, nothing. And I've never felt that in my life. Everybody, everywhere you go, has an emotion or a feeling. This was a feeling of nothingness, pure black nothingness.
because I do know a lot of people claim like the Greys are like a shell almost. They're like you're describing it as a hologram because you couldn't see the legs. Fair enough, and that very much could be. And I know there's a lot of descriptions of the Greys being almost like a AI technology of sorts, and possibly that a
Yeah,
spirit
I
can
would
inhabit
agree.
on that.
I would definitely agree with that, like a robot almost. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
there was just nothing coming off of him. And I wake up, I run into my daughter's room, and I said, "How long was I asleep?" And she goes, "Well, about an hour." And I'm like, "No way." Because to me, it only lasted 15 seconds.
Oh wow.
So there's missing time right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not sure if it was like an activation of some sort or what, because I was going through a very rough period in my spiritual awakening. Didn't want to be here. I wanted to go with them. I was just um, becoming very reliant on them because, as some people may know, when you go through a spiritual awakening, God really, when I say God, I mean universe, all that is, really isolates you, you know, um, for preparation. So I was isolated, even though I'm doing these readings and everything else. I just felt like I could not talk to anybody. I just felt like I had to stay in this cocoon because I was feeling so many emotions and blah, blah, blah. And I was just feeling very isolated, and I didn't want to be here anymore. You know what I mean? And I wanted to go with them. So everything stopped. All the communications, all the dreams, all the sightings in the sky, all of it stopped. And I was trying everything, to get it back. And I get this message that, I mean, I knew it in my soul that I had to ground myself to this planet. I had to want to be here, and be a human and have human stuff, relationships. And because I isolated myself from everybody, besides work and everything. And even there, I'm an outcast. People know I'm weird,
Yep. I can relate to that completely. I know that
Yeah.
people. Yeah, when I did
I
have
don't
a
fit in
normal nine to
anywhere.
five job, I kind of stood out a little bit. But yeah,
Yes, yes. So yeah, I don't fit in anywhere. So I was just very distraught and all of that. And so they told me I had to, before they would come back, that they would I had to really ground myself to this planet and really heal my insides, And so I did just that. I started um grounding myself, meditation every day, because it was very sporadic before then. It was every once in a while, the days I would work, I would meditate, blah blah, protect myself, shield myself, whatever you want to call it. Um, and do all these spiritual practice, but only on the days I would work, and then I would take a rest. So that wasn't good enough. They wanted me to be meditating every day, be connecting every day, and grounding myself to this planet, and really inviting Mother Earth into my heart. And so I started connecting with people, and I was really having a
so
great time. All
do
these,
you also
Mhm.
feel that it made you healthier?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, their absence made me knowing that possibly they didn't say for sure they would come back. They didn't. They just said, you have to learn how to ground yourself. So I didn't know if they were going to come back. And at this point, I was so far, I said, okay, that stuff happened, but I'm okay now. You know, I'm okay. If they don't come back, they don't at this point. But I also was looking in the sky, and I was okay with it, whatever happened. But I was also, of course, wanting them to come back and wanting to have dreams again and all this other stuff again. Um, so anyway, during this time, this year and a half, they only showed up one time, and that was, I didn't know it was them at the time. I knew after some other stuff happened that they actually saved me from something and told me not to walk by a certain area. It was like this huge flash in the sky, and then they gave me the knowing. It was about 4 a.m. I was walking my dog, and they stopped me right in my tracks. And I just got this feeling, it was a telepathic message like, do not go past that cemetery, because I was headed straight there. And this cemetery is all pitch black. There are no street lights, nothing around this cemetery. And I don't know what was happening. I listened, I turned right around, and we didn't go past the cemetery. And I didn't know that flash was them
Okay.
until later. So I just knew, okay, I'm seeing this flash, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. This thing was massive. And I suspected it was them. And then I get that feeling come over my body, and I'm like, it's probably them. I'm not going to get my hopes up. But anyway, that happened. Who knows what would have happened? Um, I did go back and to the cemetery like during the day, and I found like people were in that cemetery. There's like used things. I'm not going to say.
Okay. Okay.
Um, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
It's- It was not good. Garbage, it wasn't good. Anyway, so I think people were in there doing things they should not be doing. But anyway, so I'm working on myself. I get my dream job, which is being a medical traveler. So I travel to different states for work and work at different hospitals and everything like that. And I'm only working 312. So I'm very happy about that, and I'm a third shifter. And this is in 2023. They came back. They came back and never left. And they said they're going to be here for the rest of my life. If I continue on this path, which I'm never going to give it up. Once there's no going back. There's no going back whatsoever. So I was on assignment in this really small town in northern Minnesota. I don't know if you've ever heard of Bemidji or if anyone's ever heard of Bemidji before.
No.
It's surrounded by three Native American reservations, and I was living on the outskirts of Bemidji, so it was still considered Bemidji, but um, just in the middle of nowhere. It's -20, -30 at night. It's in the dead of winter. And I'm sitting there. It's just me, my dog, and two girls. They're at home because they're teens. One's basically an adult at the time. And they're both adults now. But um, the one was staying home with my youngest was staying home with my dog. My other one's watching my other one, and they're both homeschooled. So it doesn't matter. And I'm gone, I'm only going to be gone for 3 months. But I go back and forth, visit them, blah, blah. And anyway, I'm by myself. And so my sleep schedule is messed up because I'm a third shifter. And I'm laying in bed one night, and mind you, they've been gone for a year and a half at this time. And I'm laying in bed. I close my iPad, the case. I leave my blinds open because just in case they come back, I always want to feel connected to the stars and the universe. So I always want the window open. Not open physically, but the blinds
Got
open.
you. Got you. Yes, yes, yes.
It's pitch black, it's pitch black. And all of a sudden I see this huge flash, and I'm like, wait a minute. It ricocheted like off the house or the apartment. And because I can see there's another apartment building, and I can see it. And I was like, did I just see that, or is my mind
Playing
playing tricks
tricks.
on me?
Yeah.
And yeah, I sit up, and all of a sudden I see this wispy like orb. It has a tail on it, and it's just like do, like just casually in the sky, and I'm like, is that them? Because I've never seen him like that before, like a wispy tail off an orb. And I was like, I wonder if that's them. So I kind of stayed awake for 10 more minutes. Nothing happened. I went to sleep 3 nights later because I worked the next 3 nights in a row. And the next night I was off is when it all like made sense. So same thing. I'm up at 3 a.m. or whatever, and I shut the laptop, get ready to go to sleep. As I'm shutting my eyes, all of a sudden I see this huge flash, like
Again.
the one I saw.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Like a huge flash again.
Yes. Like the one this time it was in the sky.
Okay.
And it was like someone was taking a picture of me. So it was hovering outside of my window. And if any skywatcher is watching this, they know exactly what I'm talking about when they say flashes. I call them flashers now, but they're very active with us skywatchers. But so anyway, I see this huge flash like the one I saw when they told me not to go in the cemetery, you know? So I see that, and I'm like, if that's you, do that again. I was so excited. I'm hopping up on my bed, and they did it again. And I was like, do it again, do it again. And they flash again. And this time they allow me to see the physical craft behind it. It was a bronze craft. So this was such an amazing, yeah, it was so amazing. And ever since then, they've been back. I mean, they were doing tricks, what I call tricks for me. And I even brought a coworker to see what they were doing for me in Minnesota. But during this time, Minnesota was just a very, very predominant time in my life as well, because I started having the dreams came back. And signs, synchronicities, they all started happening intensely. Um, so yeah, the communication ramped up, like everything started coming back, but like, 10 times fold. It was crazy. And So this is my second time I saw a physical being was in Minnesota. And this is actually a physical being. So I got into the habit of going outside almost every night I was free. I would have hand warmers, um, layers and layers of, stuff on me. And I was not filming at the time. Um, like I do now. If you go to, for anyone watching, if you go to my Instagrams or anything, you'll see nothing but footage, um, footage of my show. But anyway, at the time I wasn't filming because it felt so sacred to me, and they really told me, no, don't pick up that phone. This is just for you. We want you to soak it all in, get used to our vibration, things of that nature. So one night, am I going too long?
No, no, you're doing good. You're doing good. No,
I'm
it's good.
sorry.
It's good. No, I'm listening. I'm
There's
just
a lot.
listening. Yes.
There's a lot. We're getting close to the end.
No
I'll wrap
problem.
it
No
up
problem.
soon. But anyway, um, I'm outside and all of a sudden I feel them very close to me, extremely close to me. And I'm like, where are you? I'm looking around and then I hear we had this little brush area. It had a few trees, maybe like 10 trees. It was just a little patch of forest, and at this time I have a cheap pair of night vision goggles that I have. Now I have something better, but at this time I had a cheap pair of night vision goggles, and it didn't record or anything. It was just something off
So
Amazon that
yeah,
I
so you
wanted
could
to see
actually
if I could
see.
see him better. hmm So I, all of a sudden, I hear this rustling in the bushes. And I'm from the Midwest, not technically, but I spent most of my time in the Midwest. So I know what a deer sounds like. I know what an animal sounds like, their footsteps. This was none of that. So I'm listening. My hair is standing up, and this fear comes over me, my body, that I've never had in my life. It almost took me back to my childhood where I was always scared, you know? So it was involuntary because, people hear deers and stuff all the time. I film it right now in a cornfield and I never get scared. But this night, the hair stood up on my arms and everything, and I was like in fear mode. My body, when it did this reaction, and it made me scared. So I'm like scared to look in the goggles, because this thing is getting closer. Um, it's getting closer to the edge line of the forest, the little tiny forest, and I'm hearing it walk the steps and everything. And so I nervously put the glasses up, and I see the figure. And it's a tall, lanky, like he was lanky, like very long arms, very long legs, um, big eyes, but a short, not like a gray's head, but a little just round, but
And when was it like
not,
like a taller gray? Some people describe them as taller grays,
yes.
like 6 or 7 foot, but they're a bit different.
hmm So this one I would say would be about 6 foot tall. And yeah, it was not like a gray, but the color of one, if that makes sense. And lanky, like just the arms were like very long and the legs were very long. And he just sitting there staring at me, and I freaked out. I did. I'm not proud to say it, but I did. Um, I ran inside the house and I said, guys, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. I told him, I'm
Well,
not ready for this.
sorry, I'm gonna challenge you with this one. With our body sensing fear, was it not something that maybe this, like, not all things are good, not all things are evil, and like I said this earlier, that I believe that we have to have a balance. Could that have been something malicious that was attracted to you because you were communicating with like these light beings, as you
Sure.
call them?
Yes, I can totally get how someone because when your body does that, you instantly think it's bad. But this was because the frequency was so high, my body reacted that way. So that's later what they had told me. As I said, why did that happen? And they told me that it's their frequency. When a human gets very close, that's what happens involuntarily to their bodies. Like, I didn't understand it. Doesn't mean that they're bad. And I think in a lot of situations they may think that they're bad because they feel that fear, but it's just a thing that happens when you get, and it causes me to have an upset stomach as well when they get very close. Um, but that doesn't mean that they're evil or bad in any way. I've never had a negative experience except for with our government, and that is a whole other story. I have many, many experiences,
Fair
many,
enough. Fair
many.
enough.
Um, but yeah, so during this time, they invited me into the Galactic Federation as a ambassador here on Earth. I know all of this sounds just absolutely nuts.
Well,
Trust me, I know I
I
wouldn't believe
I've
it.
talked to a lot of people, so this is, it's something that I think we have to always be open minded to certain things. Yes.
I'm just, maybe the viewers may think that, but I'll tell you, if you've experienced what I've experienced, you would be a believer, definitely. Um, there's, but anyway, yes, they invited me into the Galactic Federation as an ambassador here on Earth, and soon after that, I started filming, and my footage speaks for itself. If you go to my pages or anything like that, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you will see amazing footage. And I'm supposed to be bringing this information out to humanity.
Now, okay, so with this information, then I'm going to ask you. So, because lately all we see within, we'll talk of the U.S. predominantly, is division upon division upon division. Have they communicated to you with anything about that division, that it just keeps on multiplying over anything? It's the left versus the right. The color versus uncolor, or it's everything. What have they told you in regards to this, if anything?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, they do brush upon this, and it's going to get better. We're in the worst of it right now. In these next couple of years, we're going to be experiencing this divide. But also, if you notice, this divide also is bringing people that would never ever be in communication with each other or anything. People with differences. It's also bringing them together. So it's I think what's projected out there is a lot of negativity, and they're not noticing things behind the scenes, people. And behind the scenes, there's so much love and compassion and kindness happening that they're not going to project it. That's not the story. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear about, this divide, this separation. But there's so much love coming out of every single thing that is happening. It's all going to get better. That's what they say.
I hope so. I hope so. Because they're,
It's going to take a while.
yeah,
It's going to take a while.
yeah. Because like you touched on the government. I know we're kind of running out of time here, but you touched on the government, and I don't believe that there is some good actors in the government. More to say, and I use that word purposely, actors, because I believe that there's a lot of acting going on, and this. Yeah, and we talk about, like, oh, I'm left, I'm right. Well, I think when you look at it, I think the government is just one entity, and they portray a role, and it's like, oh, I'm going to get you to follow this or get you to follow that. But in the end, they're trying to achieve a division upon us all. And if people don't see that, they need to see
Oh, it
that.
is.
Mhm.
It's all about control. It's all about control. They don't like people like us. They don't like free thinkers. and people who want to change the planet for the better. They want to control the narrative. And I'm talking about the shadow government, the reptilian government. Um, all of it's not good,
No,
but
it's not at all. Like the government that we see is pretty much just a puppeteer. Like I mean, they're not the puppeteers, right? They're the puppets. They are the puppets, and we
100%.
don't see the ones actually really running it, but we believe that they're actually running this, and it's clear as day that it's it's a terrible show that we're being broadcast and that's trying to control us, and I really hope that some people wake up to that sooner than later because
Oh,
we
they
need to.
will. They will in the next 10 years, 8 to 10 years about. More people are being prepared now for contact, for personal experiences. All that stuff you see in the Congress, all of that, whistleblowers, it's preparing people that would never think that they would see anything or never thought about ETs being in the sky or there being other life on other planets. Um, it's all preparation.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I almost think that the disclosure that's happening in the whistleblowers is all staged as well. It's to control because I think that I think it's happening, but they're trying to get ahead of it and trying to control that narrative by bringing in their own whistleblowers so they can control it because that's the only way you can control it is to take control of it is by is to direct it in the way you need to by placing your own operatives in there and steering it in the direction you need it to be.
I I believe the same. I believe the same, but there's also that duality in there. There's also goodness coming out of that because more and more people who would never suspect a thing, who live in this 3D reality. Um, when they're so stuck in going to their 9 to 5 job. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, of course.
That they're not even thinking in the lines of, oh, hi, we have other people or other races coming to Earth. And it gets them actually thinking, you know, that, okay, if the government says they're real, then they are,
Yes,
you know?
it's true. That
So
that is
there's
completely
two
true.
different
Mhm.
sides. Yeah. Yes, I think the narrative is controlled because why would they allow that to come out? Why would they allow that footage? Why, they're controlling the narrative, just like you said. It's all about control.
I agree with you. I agree. Well, Sarah, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate this. And for anybody who's interested in checking out your lives on Instagram, where can they find you on Instagram?
Yes, so it's on Instagram, but my name is UFO.girly, and I do it every Wednesday at 7 p.m. with other experiencers. If you want to be on the show, you can actually DM me. I am booked up until almost December.
Oh,
So,
fantastic.
um, yeah, so I have quite a list, but I would love for anybody, especially abductees.
Okay. Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
love abductees and want to share those stories.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. And, your experiences were very interesting, very intriguing. And,
I have
and many
many
more.
more.
Yeah, I always feel that we
Hmm.
need to question it all, and got to ask some questions, and that is great. So thank you so much.
You are welcome.
All right, everyone, that was Sarah or UFO Girly, and if you're interested in her content, please go check her out on Instagram, UFO Girly. And if you have some experiences and you want to, possibly get on her show, hit her up, and I'm sure she'd be more than happy to have you on. It's so this we recorded in end of September, and so she's booked up to December. So probably when this comes out, it'll probably be late October. So she's probably going to be booking into January. So make sure you guys check her out. Um, I always say, make sure you question everything, whether it be good, evil, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you ask those questions and test your connections to make sure that, it's all for your better, for your higher, your better of yourself, which is always important. So until next time, everyone, I want you to make sure, keep your curiosity wandering, keep the light lit, and always find your way home.
Beneath the stars where shadows grow, the Nephilim's echoes whisper low. Bigfoot roams through the forest deep, and Dogman prowls where the brave won't sleep. Across lost history we wonder why, seeking the truth that time tried to hide. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit, through the darkness don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come, and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the velvet skies, aliens watch with unblinking eyes. The paranormal hums where silence breaks, in the void of secrets a lantern wakes. Through hidden realms and stories untold, the Codex flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit, through the darkness don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come, and always find your way back home. UFOs streak through the velvet skies, aliens watch with unblinking eyes. The paranormal hums where silence breaks, in the void of secrets a lantern wakes. Through hidden realms and stories untold, the Codex flame is a light to hold. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit, through the darkness don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come, and always find your way back home. Legends rise from the Earth's deep core, a lost legacy we can't ignore. With every step, the veil grows thin, revealing worlds where the strange begins. Keep your curiosities wandering and the light lit, through the darkness don't ever quit. In the Codex, the mysteries come.